Today I'm helping Diane in the kitchen prepare lunch for a group of guests, and what I do is stand around and watch her cook and eat in my costume before everyone sits down.
Today is a force meat pasty, which will be done in a puff pastry. It is both venison and sausage or pork. Also, I have yams, apples, and bacon cooking on the hearth. And then to finish off the meal, we'll do an apple fritter.
So Diane, what kind of preparation goes into putting together a meal for guests at the inn?
So the question was raised, how many hours does it take, or how long does it take? So first I have to do the research on the recipe and decide what time period I want to represent. After I do that, then I have to find the recipe and or the receipt and find what the components would have been for the construction of the dinner. So if a recipe has an odd thing in it that doesn't ring or resonate to the time period, I have to find out why it was added in, or was the recipe accurate, and so on. Now comes the time I have my grocery list and I have to go find the items. Some items like rose water, orange, blossom water might be in a recipe, kind of a baking recipe usually. I have to go find that. Stop and Shop does not have those items, so they might have the items. Different meats would be like rabbit would be another one. I'd have to go to a special butcher for that. So at the end of the day, you're running around all over the place trying to find accurate representations for what's in that receipt. Then I get to take it home, take it out of my car, bring it into my kitchen. Oh, clean out the refrigerator, making room for the items that I've just purchased, because now maybe it's 5 o'clock in the afternoon and I have to start cooking in preparation. For example, with this meal, I made yams. Yams are a very hard root. I had to peel all of them. I had to boil them. So that took about an hour and a half to do 6 big yams. So I do that. Now I have to find the colander to fit all of this, because I have to flip it and cool them down. Oh, I have to get the Ziploc bags to store them overnight in the refrigerator that's been cleaned out, because now I have to bring them to the hearth. If I was doing this in the hearth kitchen, I'd have to start very early in the morning and then do each of these processes individually at the fire. But this was a luncheon and I wouldn't have enough time to do that. So then whether it was bacon and I'm cutting it into small strips, the bacon has to come out of the thing, then I have to put it in the freezer and make it a little hard so I can cut it, and then that gets stored in the plastic bag to put back in the car to come out to Center Moriches to be cooked on the fire. And this process goes on throughout the whole entire day. And you're in your car going, did I remember the stockings for my outfit, and is there molasses in the kitchen where I'm cooking? So little things like that can just add on to your day. Because the hearth kitchen, we try to keep everything as accurate. Then there's flies that we have to deal with, so that everything has to be covered up. Because we do everything by Board of Health standards, everything has to be cleaned and double washed and double checked and so on. So the amount of labor that goes into a simple meal, or what appears to be a simple meal, is absolutely extremely time consuming. Then we have to wash our hands 10 bazillion times in a room with no sink. So for washing our hands, I have a basin and then I wash it at the sink, which is located in another room. So it's constant back and forth and monitoring. I cannot just turn the fire down or up according to what the temperature of the meal is. I have to watch the fire. Oh, that means I have to make sure that there's wood on site, which means chopping down a tree a year ago to make sure I have seasoned wood for this year. So again, the planning process is hours and hours and hours. And I always hope the meal is well worth it. But cooking on fire, you take the risk of always burning your food and starting all over again.
Don't worry, Diane, I do that in a modern way every day.
American Revolution, July 3rd, 1779, in Rivington's New York Gazette. The most notorious rebels boast they can have goods from New York as usual. Several of our inhabitants entertain and join with the plundering parties. Last week, a party of rebels had a feast at the house of Benjamin Havens at Moriches. You're in that room. A most pernicious caitiff. What was he up to? And several of the inhabitants attended at the frolic. William Phillips, Benjai Strong, and Caleb Brewster. So we know those names, they're familiar, and as we know, everyone was intermarried, everyone knew each other, they were relatives or cousins, and everyone knew that if I just winked at you or winked at you, you knew the story. You didn't have to say very much, as we can do today. Ben Havens was paid by Captain Hulbert and his troops. They received provisions here. That was after the Battle of Long Island, where we lost. And this gun came to us. The gun is, this is a British gun that was modified at some point, but the Howe family up in Manorville knocked on the door one day a few years ago and said, "Bert, we have a gun we'd like you to have." And it was a British gun, and we know that the British came up towards Manorville to kill the Howes, but the Howes got wind but through the other locals, and the Howes got the Brits. Apparently there were two guns, but this one survived, and so we have it here to tell that great story.